Hello, everyone. I'm here for one of my stories. This is Lindsay Dunn, and today I'm here with Sune Kolster, who is the composer for the film score in the new horror film Speak No Evil, which is directed by Christian Tafdrup. Sune has previously worked with Christian on the movies Parents and A Horrible Woman. Welcome to one of my stories.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be invited.
Let's start off by telling me about your musical background and how you got started with film scoring as a career.
Yeah, it's it's a very long story, and it's a story with a lot of paths and different ways I've been taking, all of them about music. The very short version is that I started in DIY punk rock, and at some point I kind of slowly began to work to also get paid sometimes. And when I found out that it was totally impossible with making music like hardcore punk, first of all, because my fans didn't have any money, and nobody else would pay for music that was filled with anger and sorrow and dark feelings like this. And then I began to think who will pay for music that is so dark and twisted and all this. And then I was like, film directors. This is like the very short version of it. The little bit longer is that I've always been searching musically. And also actually all the way back from my childhood, I was very interested in music. I'm not coming from a professional musical family at all, but I'm coming from how can you say, a home with piano. My grandfather was a very good pianist, like amateur. My father also played the piano a little bit, and there was always a lot of singing and things like this in my family. And I've been writing songs since I was very young, actually. And I always had these dreams, but also they were kind of, when you grow up in a family where nobody is professional musicians, and sometimes also especially with a grandfather who is actually very talented, but he chose to be a teacher, then you're also having this myth that music is something you enjoy the most when you are not professional about it. So it took me like really long to actually get out of this fear of being a professional musician. And then I began also at that. It was actually the same time when I played punk rock. I began to study musicology, and this was really these kind of two worlds where in I could stand Saturday night. I was playing in some kind of squatted house in Hamburg or something like this. And then Sunday I was sitting with the hangover and doing Bach fugues, and this is very like a story of my life, that I have been a part of a lot of different ways to see and perform music. And also I had a long journey with Arabic and Middle Eastern music and fascination to these quarter tones and all this. And the good thing about doing film music, now I will go back to the film music, is exactly that film music is, at least in my opinion, it's not a genre, it's not a specific style, it's a function. So that means you can use any kind of music if the film allows it, and in that sense, it's good to have a big musical vocabulary, or how you can say.
I wanted to talk about your partnership with Christian, and who directed the film Speak No Evil, and you've worked together with him on other projects. So how did you two meet, and how did your partnership come to be where you scored his movies?
Yeah, actually, Christian and I know each other from childhood. Not so well, but we attended the same primary school, and then we also had this crossroad, that we were both in the same, as kids, we were both in the same movie as actors.
Okay.
And we kind of we kind of got a special kind of friendship about that. I was getting the main part in Christian's, when Christian is telling the story. He told me that about the casting, and then I went to the casting and got the main part, and he was sort of said, I don't remember it like that. But it's memories. So we always laugh about that thing. But there, we already at that time, we actually got this common thing about movies, and about we knew, none of our other friends knew how it looked on a film set, but we did, or some kind of like this. So we had the kind of this together. And then we didn't see each other for, and also when we were teenagers, we were hanging a little bit out. We were not so close, but then we didn't see each other for like many years. And then we met each other again, like when we were in the 30s. I became a parent, and we lived in the same neighborhood. And then we just began to talk, and again, and he had been an actor. I also followed him because he had been an actor in a lot of things, and he began to direct movies, and this was just before his first feature. We talked about this, and I said, I'm actually beginning to be a film composer, if you ever need me. And then suddenly he just called me and said, now I'm making my first feature movie. Maybe we can meet and talk. And then I played some music for him, and we talked about it, and talked about what the film was about. And this was the real beginning of a beautiful friendship, or if you can say it like this, because we just really matched really good, and we could talk for hours about the film, and about the underlying stream of the story that people didn't see, but that you could feel through the music.
It's interesting. When I interview composers, a lot of times I hear similar things. There's like sort of a shared mutual language somehow, that when you can talk, like you said, you can talk a long time, your sensibilities match, and then out of that blossoms a really beautiful partnership. So
I think it's
wonderful.
I think it's one of the most important thing, actually, because what you are, when you as a film composer, you really have to share or understand the vision of the director, and the kind of the really understand the core of the film. If you don't understand this, and if you don't understand the vision, then you will fail, because then you will go in wrong directions. And of course, sometimes you find out through during the way. I never tried to get fired from a movie yet, but I know I have friends who tried it, and it's often or always because the communication in some kind of way breaks down between the director and the composer. So this communication is so important, and if you can, like in the case with me and Christian, if you can really trip in this way that we do about all these kind of things, then it's really a gift.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about specifically Speak No Evil. It's about a Danish couple who meets a Dutch couple, and they get along well, and the Dutch family says, come on and come to our house later on after the vacation is over. And they think, well, it would be impolite not to accept. And they meet up, and things just aren't quite right, but they can't really explain what's wrong. but they decide to stick it out because after all, it's just a weekend. What could possibly go wrong? So this movie is interesting because it's a horror movie, yet a lot of the horror is really subtle, and that we don't see the full impact of what's going on until it's way too late. So how did you go about creating the soundscape for this movie? And I know that's a really big question, but feel free to explain it in your own way.
Yeah, actually, a lot of it began already before I wrote anything, or before, I actually think even before they began to film, it was always already on the script level. I read the first script, and no, actually it was before the script. Christian actually told me about the idea when we were in Macedonia together. We were at a film festival with parents, and we were having a great time there, and talked, and then he told me about this idea, and we already began to talk about it there, I think. And one of the things that we talked about, also because we made also this theater together, where I was also writing the music for choir. And I think this was where we really began to talk about the Greek drama and the opera. Also because I think we began to talk about this whole mythology and the larger than life way to kind of tell a story. That like in the Greek drama, you are typically starting out with the choir saying, now you're going to see and hear and witness this, and it will end horrible, and from this you might learn something, or something like this, and then it gets through, and in this theater there was it was this piece from Max Frisch called Biederman and the Fire Starters in the English translation, I guess, where there is this choir, talking choir, and we wanted to kind of put some kind of music to it, this was really the approach we wanted, because we were so fascinated. We were not finished with this trip when we began Speak No Evil, and we talked about this film is really a tragedy. I mean,
Okay.
really a tragedy, and it's really a mythological, some kind of like it's about everybody. I know the setting is about a Danish couple and a Dutch family and all this, but it could be everybody, and we wanted to create a music that was kind of this a little bit like the Greek choir, that out of nowhere could like come with warnings, or could comment in some kind of way the film. And this is, I mean, this is not a usual way to do it. I mean, there's many ways to do it. I don't have a recipe, but we were this is also a daring way to do it, I think, because a lot of, when I studied film scoring also at the conservatory, and here we were really like told this, that the music have to kind of be not, like underscoring things, and being with the emotions and of the characters and all this. And this music is approach is totally different.
Mm-hmm. And like, I remember there's one scene where the scene that I really stuck out to me is when before they even left, after they've come back from Italy and they're watching their kids perform in a play, and everybody's it's finishing and they're all clapping and happy, but there's the music underneath is like a warning, just like you said.
Yeah.
So would that be an example of what you're talking about?
Yeah, totally. And this was really Christian's idea. I thought that actually that this should just be, I mean, that they were singing in the script, they were singing California Dreaming, and I think they also did that in or not. I think they did. But then when we watched some tests and then Christian came to me and said, what do you think about the idea that we remove the sound and then we just create totally horror? And I was just like, yeah, it's a really good idea. And I mean, the beginning is really much the same. I mean, you just see a car driving and a beautiful like paradise looking place, and here we also I remember when we spoke about it in the beginning, and when I wrote read the first script, I also remember I said to Christian, I think we're going to begin violently. I think we're going to like really begin with a scream, with an operatic scream or something like this. And then this was one of the ideas, and then we tried it. We also tried a lot of different other things with the beginning. And one thing that we really agreed on was that the test screenings we had where the music was more subtle or not existing, or it was just the radio playing some tune or something like this, then it was in my opinion, when I saw it, it was just like the film didn't work afterwards, because you were sitting thinking, why are they so stupid? Why are they doing this? Why are they taking these bad decisions in some kind of way? But the great thing is that when we put on this like violent music, then you knew that they were going to make a bad decision, so you were just more like into them and relying relating to them in some kind of way. So this is it's also, of course, it's an idea, but it's also it couldn't, I don't think it could be different, because this is really one of the cores in the film, and one of the things that drives it. And Christian is so gifted to work with for me as a composer, because he really have a vision with the music. He really have these ideas, and the good thing is that we really match in this, as I said before. So these trippings.
How do you guys communicate about that then? You said he has a vision. How does he communicate that to you?
Most of all, we talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and eat a good dinner and drink some beers, and we are really talking a lot. And then of course when we sit down hands on, it's like then typically we get some kind of idea. Either he has an idea or I have an idea, and then I go back to the studio and then I make some kind of sketch, and then the ideal way is then that he's coming after I made the sketch, and then he's coming to the studio, and we are sitting like hands on, and he's saying, I'm not sure, this is a little bit too something, and I say, okay, what if we turn this down and put this up? And yeah, okay, like this. Of course, you don't always have time to do it like this, but this is really the good way. So you like, of course,
you have the samples, you have the samples you play, and then he can kind of say, yeah, I like that, or could it be a little more this or whatnot? Yeah,
actually, in this film, that I haven't been working so much with samples and sample libraries, because there was no sample libraries, at least that I had, that could kind of make this sound that I wanted. So I was actually, if you can see there, the white electric cello up there. I've been sitting. I cannot play cello, but to make like these kind of things. Sketch for it on this, with a lot of these string and also the violin, and so I actually played it, and then later after that I transcribed it and put it to score, and then I recorded it in Macedonia.
I know that you work in all styles of music, from punk rock to Middle Eastern to classical, operatic, and you mentioned the operatic being used here. Were there other styles or interesting musical instruments you brought into the mix, or was it sticking with more of the operatic style throughout for this film?
It was totally sticking with the operatic. approach. There's a handful of soloists also here playing. 4 of them is singers. There's the soprano, that is the main voice in the operatic pieces, and also her voice is used, and also the other and also on bass and tenor, and their voices is also used through the scores, but very discreet. So you have this kind of like creepy human feeling, and then I also worked with the lute player.
Okay.
And I worked with an accordionist, very, very good accordionist, I know, called Bjarke Mogensen. And it was mostly because the idea started that when they're sitting on the Italian restaurant and they're talking and it should be very nice, everything. I was just like, I mean, we could use a piece that was written, but I was just like, I want to write it. I want to, and actually, this was the same with a lot of the different things there is that I kind of wanted to integrate it in the score. And then I also used the accordion, because the accordion can sound in so many ways. So there's so many like squeaks and cries and things like this from this accordion throughout the score. But everything is like, it's like subtle. But if you listen for it, you can probably hear both the accordion and the soloist a couple of times. And the lute was mostly for the operatic parts.
Yeah, the main time I heard the voices was, of course, in the song that's played in Italy when they're watching the concert, and I believe that's the same piece that you use at the very end also.
Yes. Yes.
Could you talk more about that piece, because it's really beautiful?
Yes.
I'm assuming it has words. What do the words mean? And could you talk about that?
I actually, I'm not sure what the words mean. I'm sure it's about love. Maybe it's called Amor. It's Claudio Monteverdi. It's from the beginning of 18th century or end of 16th century. It's Monteverdi is one of the first opera composers, and he was so extremely new. The way to make opera of this, and this is the beautiful thing, is that it's also one of my and Christian's talks, because, and I think we already began to talk about that in like years before. We were talking about all this, about the opera and the Greek drama. And the thing is that it's also because I studied musicology, so I have all this kind of weird knowledge. But the first opera was actually an idea of, you wanted to recreate the Greek dramas. And this was the whole idea of Monteverdi and some of the very early Italian opera composers. And this is also all the operas at that time. It's Greek titles. It's all these Greek dramas that is put into music. And I think I told Christian about Monteverdi because I really love Monteverdi. He's my favorite opera composer. And then Christian began to Google it and began to and suddenly he began to send me Monteverdi stuff that I never heard before. And then he sent me this one, and he sent me one recording of it that was very, very beautiful. And he wanted to integrate that in the film. And suddenly I got the idea that I actually wanted to rearrange it and record it, so it really became like a part of the score, that you didn't have the feeling, okay, now there's another track. And Christian, I think he said to me, I'm not really sure, because he really loved the other one, and he said, only if you can promise me that it will be better than the original. And I said, okay, I promise. Like I hope. I took the chance, and this was also because I had met the soprano, and this is a really fantastic story. I was in the pedestrian in Copenhagen where I live, and then I was suddenly hearing this voice, somebody sang in the street, and there was this woman singing opera, and I was just like, what? And my girlfriend was there, and she was just went to the bathroom, and I went there, and I was just listening. I was totally like blown away by her voice. And then when she was finished, I was clapping and putting some money in her hat, and then I said to her like, hey, I want your phone number. Because I'm a composer, and you are singing so beautiful. And then my girlfriend, she came up from the bathroom. She just heard me say, I want your phone number. And she was laughing, and she was saying, are you flirting with the opera singer? And then suddenly she was saying, oh, Maria, it's you. And then she knew her.
Oh, wow.
And it was because she was my wife. She's an animator, very, very good animator, making animation art, hand drawn on paper, old school animation. And this is not how you say, it's not an art with a lot of money. So sometimes she had at least in that period to work on this cafe. And Maria was the cleaning, like the girl cleaning there. So I was just like, okay, I have this project. Can you come? And I told Christian about it, and Christian was like, okay, wow, crazy story. and then Maria, she went, and we had to make a test, because I mean sometimes you can just be hear something and you think it's great, and then you can try to work with somebody and find out, okay, maybe it was good at that day, And then she went to my studio, and we recorded everything, and it was just supposed to be a test, but she never went back to the studio because it was just totally perfect. And then I played it for Christian, and he was like, okay, it's better than the other one. so he really loved it also. So this is the story of the Monteverdi piece.
Was there a moment in the film that you found really challenging to score, and could you share what that moment was?
There was a lot of moments that was challenging. Also, it was a challenging film also because it was so our approach was really extreme. But I think the most challenging scene to score was, I don't want to mention what is happening in it, but the scene where the really terrible
so the ending, the climactic.
The long scene in the car that is building up to beep. We don't say what's happening there.
Yeah.
I was dreading for getting to this, and I was working through the film, like from the beginning to the end, and I was dreading to get there. And when I got there, I think the first 15 times I saw the scene, I was crying. I just had to put it away. I couldn't like cope with it. And at the end, of course, I have to like also because I think when I compose, I really invest my feelings in the film. This is also how you can really like understand it, and really I can help other people with these kind of feelings, or what you can say, and it both because of this, because it was so dreadful to watch, but also because the scene, the build up is so long. It's I don't remember how long time, but it's really long, where it's just slowly building up, and to make some music that you don't get tired of listening to it, but at the same time it doesn't take over, because it's very the lines, and there is so much important going on there. So it's really important that the music doesn't take over before, like it then it still doesn't take over. Because actually I was talking to somebody who said, was there music there?
Yeah.
Because you don't think about that, because you so this was kind of this should really be an underscoring part, and this was challenging.
Could you tell people, if they're interested in following you as a musician and a person who scores films, how would you recommend people do that?
I have a website. I can say it here, but it's better to if we can write it somewhere, because it's in Danish. It's called bedremusik.dk. It means better music. It was when I first started my company many years ago. I took this this title. Here I put different kind of things. Also, I have a SoundCloud, and I have a Bandcamp.
Okay.
That is, I don't remember the names. It's something.
I'll put all of the links in the show notes.
Yeah, look at the links below. Or
do you have social media accounts that you maintain, like Instagram or Twitter or anything like that?
Yes, I have a Facebook. I think the page is called Sune Kolster, composer Sune Kolster, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and everyone, make sure that if you like horror, consider watching this movie. It is quite the movie. It's not one of those movies I feel like I can recommend to anyone, but if you like horror and you like to be shocked, you will really enjoy this movie, I think. So that is the end of this interview, and I will see all of my viewers next time on one of my stories. Bye.